Welcome to a day in the print shop. I've got a long one ahead of me, so I'm starting pretty early today. I got a couple drinks in my hand. As you can see, I've brought the dog with me to work. He usually comes every day. I'm working on getting him a bed. I haven't found a good one yet for him, but he's my little guard dog. I work beside my house, so he can come to work with me. First things first, I turn on all of my heat presses and my oven. Then I move on to the laser. I get it turned on and I run a printhead clean on the printer to make sure that everything is flowing smoothly there. You run a printhead clean and then you print a test sheet. It takes a few minutes, so I kind of cut that out. It was really boring. Now we're doing our test sheet, and after the test sheet, I fire up the laser and get some patches ready to cut. I've got a bunch of patches to cut over the next couple days, so I wanted to get an early start on those. This patch set in particular is for one of my repeat customers. His name is Tyrell. He owns RT Landscaping down where we're from, and he orders a ton of hats. He's one of my favorite customers to work with. He's super chill, so if he places an order, he's just kind of like, whenever you get it ready, let me know. He's usually in no rush, really cool guy. He's one of my favorite people to work with. Now we're doing our first transfer. I've run the printhead. I think this is the printhead clean. I'm going to go ahead and tell y'all. I filmed this footage like 2 days ago, and it's currently 9:43 p.m., so I am like dragging. Okay, so now I'm firing up Lightburn here. This is the software that I use to cut the patches. And then I've got a test patch going shortly after this. I'm telling y'all, like, I'm losing it. Yep. We are testing the width, make sure everything fits. Oh, the leather I use is by Lone Star Adhesive. If you guys haven't heard of them, you need to check them out. They are freaking amazing. These patches do not come off at all. I will post a picture in the comments of my boyfriend's hat. He is a truck driver and mechanic, and he thinks he's entitled to a new hat every single week. So, Jeremy, if you're watching this, I'm calling you out. But I will post a picture in the comments of his hat. It looks awful. The hat's horrible, but the patch looks brand new, actually. So, shout out to Lone Star if they ever catch this video somewhere. Next, I'm pulling everything I need for that specific order. The order that I'm pulling for is a fair order. I'm a fair supplier. I sell t-shirts, air fresheners, just some little knick-knacky stuff, whatever. I'm also a big buyer on Fair. Those are some purses that I ran a pre-order on. We didn't get any hits, but I had a minimum to make, so I bought some extras to put in the booth. And they are super cute. I actually kept one for myself. But I'm pulling t-shirts so I can get this fair order shipped out. I didn't end up packing it day before yesterday when I filmed this video. I don't know what happened, but I packed it up yesterday and got it shipped out, so that's great. Now that I've got the order pulled, I am curing some transfers. I am a transfer supplier as well. So if you are a transfer buyer or a shirt maker and you want to purchase transfers, I would love to help you. Then I move on to pressing some patches. This is for a farm order down in my hometown in Alabama. He was a very good family friend of my grandfather's, and he ordered some hats for his farm. There are a ton of these hats, so I sped up this entire process besides the first one. First, I cure the leather on my heat press. I don't really cook it for very long. 5 seconds at 350 is all it'll do. It just kind of heats up that sticky adhesive, the heat bond. Then I use this Elmer's spray glue it holds the patch on the hat while I'm pressing it, just so it doesn't knock out of place or anything. When I first started, it was very much trial and error, and I ruined a ton of Richardson hats. And if you are a hat maker, you know that Richardson are like gold. so you don't want to mess them up. But I found the Elmer's craft glue at Walmart, and it seemed to work really well, so this is what I use. You can grab it at Walmart if you want to try it. I just spray it on the back of the patch and then glue it down, or press it down really firmly, and once I'm sure it's stuck on, then I lower my platen on it. It doesn't leave any residue unless you have to move the patch, so make sure that it's where you want it before you stick it on there, because it will leave a residue. See, I'm looking to check and see if it's aligned or not, because it freaks me out every single time. Alright, now we're back to pressing some more. This is the clip that I sped up to like 1,000% because it was just taking too long. I did not want you guys to get bored, because pressing hats is really boring. Okay, so up next I am curing some transfers and then slightly cleaning up. I usually try to keep things organized and clean as I work, but that doesn't always happen. Most of the time, the shop looks like a hot freaking mess. I try to keep it straightened up, but it never works. Most days I feel like I'm just shuffling crap around out of my way as I move, and that is not a good feeling. I hate it. But it is what it is when you work in a 12 by 14 building. Okay, so now I move on to getting orders ready to go out. I've got a couple orders that are ready, like the hat order and then another small hat order, so I put their order forms with each order as I pull them out of their respective pockets. This just makes life easier for me so I don't get product mixed up. Most orders have their like logo or their name on the patch of some kind if it's a business. So that does make things a little bit easier, but just so I don't get out of the routine, I put their order forms, with them just so I can keep things organized. Up next, I'm packaging that big ass hat order. It really wasn't that big. It was like 16 hats. I've got a 72 hat order. 72 hats under my table now. I'm just waiting on leather to get done. So if you guys want to see that big hat order from start to finish, I will show you, but it's going to be a couple days worth. My laser is really slow. So that, it'll probably take me at least a day or two to do just the patches. That's usually not a big deal, but those big orders do take a lot of time. But if you want to see a big hat order from start to finish, I would be more than happy to show you. I get the order packed, bagged up and ready to go. I stick everything in its box, and I probably needed to speed this clip up a little bit to keep up with the speed of my voice. But I'm going to stick everything in a box, and then I throw in their invoices, and I realized that I carried them back over to my desk. So I have to go get them and go get a pen so I can write on them. I usually throw a receipt, which is what I'm writing on here, their proof. So every order gets a proof before they purchase so they can see kind of what their hats would look like. I'm more than happy to make a proof template if you guys would be interested in something like that, just so you can, have something really nice to send your customers. I've noticed a lot of people do comment on my proofs. I also throw in a flyer of my next monthly special, which is November. I'm offering 12 hats and 12 hoodies for $500. So I throw one of those in there, and then I throw a thermal printed label thank you little thingy in there that goes in almost all of my orders. It's kind of got a little bit of information about our shop and where we're at and things like that, contact info, that sort of thing. So I try to put those in every order along with some business cards. And then I just get everything packed up, slap a shipping label on it, and it's ready to go out. And then I go back to printing transfers. I'm a transfer supplier, so I'm just printing transfers. This is usually an all-day everything job. Printing transfers takes forever, especially if I have a huge order of them, but I really enjoy it. I just turn on some Netflix or a podcast or something to listen to so I don't get bored. And I just sit and print all day, especially if the shop's slow. I do like the busy days, though. They seem to go by faster, just like this day was super busy. It doesn't look super busy, but it was. I ended up cutting out about 4 hours of office footage, mock-ups, book work, collecting payments, that sort of thing. I tried to cut that out just because it was just me sitting at my desk. I didn't want you guys to have to see that. The good stuff is the production. So next, I'm cutting out air fresheners. I do sublimation air fresheners. This is actually the product that started my entire business. So I really enjoy getting to do these. I don't do them as much as I used to, but now that I'm back on Etsy, those are both Etsy orders, by the way. Now that I'm back on Etsy, I do a lot more of them. I closed my Etsy shop for a year because I was paying so much in fees. And then I realized just how much money I was missing and turned it back on. I didn't ship hardly any air fresheners at that time after I left Etsy. But I've been back on for a month, and it's been going really well. I got moved into the shop, and then I just decided, you know what, hey, I'm going to turn this back on. So I sell on Etsy, my website. I was on TikTok Shop, but I'm working on closing that out. If you want to hear my TikTok Shop experience, I would be more than happy to share that with you guys. It was not a good one both times that I was on TikTok Shop. So if you guys want to hear about TikTok Shop, that would be a whole nother video. But at this point, I'm finishing up some transfers, and I can't remember if I pressed shirts. No, I didn't. I didn't press shirts this day. I just did transfers and hats. But I just cure all of the transfers that I need and orders that need to go out. Okay, so after I finished both hat orders and got back from my lunch break, I finished this air freshener order. I love doing air freshener orders now. I used to hate them so much. They were so monotonous, but they're really not bad anymore because, they remind me of where I started, in the corner of my bedroom. well, mine and my boyfriend's bedroom, and then I moved to the spare bedroom after I outgrew that. It was our storage room, kind of is now back to our storage room, but it was really great to really sit back and think. And if you can't tell it on my face, I'm actually super happy because I'm like, wow, one of the first orders of air fresheners that I've done since being back in the shop. I've done, quite a few, but for some reason, these were all older designs and stuff after, that have been, stuff that have been on the Etsy website for a while. And, getting to do those older products that not as many people buy anymore was really great. And it just kind of reminded me, like, hey, this is what started my business, so I should be grateful for every order that I get, and there's days where I'm not. And these 2 orders for air fresheners that day just really, made me sit and think, like, hey, be grateful for what you have, because, for one, it could be taken away, but for 2, you built this and turned this into what it is. You started with just this one product and maybe 5 fragrances, and now we have over 50 to choose from, and we offer so much more, like custom printing for businesses, and that's just awesome. Like, I just can't believe it. Okay, so before I finished up the day, I printed some more labels. I use pickup and delivery labels, like local pickup and delivery, so I don't have to buy shipping labels or anything like that. I made this really cute label template, and I just print them out and fill each person's name in on their respective order form. That one up top closest to the Elmer's glue can, that is my thank you little note that I stick in all of my packages. I would be more than happy to make a Canva template for you guys if that's something you're interested in, if you are a shop owner. I just fold all those labels and stick them in my little, what are those things called? They're document holders, but I printed them on my 3D printer, and I stick them on the wall. And I have so many things that I've 3D printed in this office, it's insane. But those right there probably are some of my favorites. I just wish my printer was big enough. I only have a Bamboo Lab A1 Mini, and I wish that mine was big enough to actually print document-sized holders, because instead of hanging all of my labels, I would 3D print some document holders to match. But I mean, I know I can get away with, buying like a hanging document holder, but 3D printed is way cooler. So I just finished tearing all those off and organizing them just so they fit a little bit better into those little things, because I had to size them down to a 4x6. So they're really small, but they work perfect for that, and that's what they were intended to do. Okay, so the very last thing that I did production-wise for the day before I turned off, the oven, the press, that sort of thing, was pack a local pickup DTF order. This is for a repeat customer. She buys almost every week. She takes orders, and then she gets her transfers printed. She's local to me, so she picks everything up. Works out perfect. If I'm not here when she picks up, I put them in the local pickup box on my porch. I can explain that method to you guys if you'd like. My shed, shop, has a porch, so I just put a box out there with all of my local pickup orders in them, and people come and pick their orders up from the porch. I know a lot of boutiques in the South do that, but I put, her label, her name, her total, because she usually pays after she picks up. And it turns out I cured one last transfer before I closed everything out for the day, I guess. So I just wrote, that she had not paid yet on my copy of the invoice, and then I mark her invoice paid after she does pay and file it. I don't file anything until they are paid and closed out, or paid and shipped. So next, I pull the transfer, turn off the oven, turn off the heat press, make sure everything is cut off for the day. This is kind of my closing procedure. Just make sure everything is off. You usually have to double check it, because I have been known to leave my oven on, and that will run a power bill up. So I cut off the laser, and then I come to fill out my closing paperwork. So I fill out a timesheet. I know that sounds crazy, but I fill out a timesheet just because I like to know how much I'm working, and usually it's like 60-hour weeks. Technically, I'm not always working that entire time, lunch break, running errands, that sort of thing, but I clock in and out on a sheet of paper, fill out the last few pieces of paperwork that I need, and then I turn the lights off and go home. So that's pretty much a day in my shop. I would love to know how you guys, manage your time in your shop. I haven't had a lot, I don't know anybody who has had the same experience as me, come from a job and end up working for yourself. But I'm grabbing all my stuff now to leave. After this, I turn off the lights and go to sleep, go make the 100-yard, 200 feet trek to the house, and then I go to bed. But if you guys, want to see another order process, because I have some bulk orders coming up, I will show you from start to finish. But I hope you enjoyed spending a day with me in the shop. I hope you'll have a good day.